NCAA tournament. Both teams, Xavier, a big upset in their last match, going to extra time and dominating, winning 4-1 in the extra session. They've been great in those clutch marathon-like situations in the extra session. Meanwhile, on the Virginia side of things, they just have taken care of business and looked dominant throughout. They won 4-0. So these two teams could score a lot of goals. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to push and pull back one another.
Certainly the case is the game already off to a big start, and Xavier pushing very heavy already as we move on. We see Haley Hopkins for Virginia with the ball already. We see Leah Godfrey as well for Virginia now moving the ball forward on the left wing now. The Cavaliers moving forward with their left back now up in the far side, crossing the ball and into the box, but it is intercepted there by the goalkeeper. Very well done there by the goalkeeper. That is Maria Galli for Xavier, for the Musketeers. That is their number 1.
Yeah, nice early test for her. That was a nice cross in for the Cavaliers, but really nice job by Galli to just get out of her line, not be afraid to charge after it, and make sure there's no chance.
Certainly so, and a very, very quick start to this game as we're seeing now. Usually, when you're playing in the cold, you can definitely tell that there's a lot of bounciness, a lot of speed of the movement, and these two teams are coming out aggressive. Two teams that come off of high-scoring games as well.
Yeah, well, as we play these opening minutes, it's always going to be interesting for me to see who's going to dominate the possession stats, who's going to be willing to sit back on the ball and maybe try and look for a counter, or who's really going to be pressing the action.
It's always so important seeing those first 5 minutes play out, as we see now Virginia seeking to retain possession right now with their goalkeeper. That is Kayla White facing some pressure there. Giedrich takes it out, rebounded now. Xavier, possession with the ball. Now their midfield for UVA takes it back, and we have a switch of the field out to their star freshman. That is Maggie Cagle with the ball, gets past 1, gets past 2. Past the middle, looking for Haley Hopkins. Haley Hopkins nearing the inside of the box, inside it now, trying to cut in, but stumbles right before she's able to cut in and get a pass off. Now ball is in possession of Xavier. Chloe Netzel with the ball now, trying to rotate, puts one in, freeing of pressure, double pressure there by Virginia, gets them a throw-in, and a lot of activity now from both sides.
Yeah, well, and that was a phenomenal run by Maggie Cagle, rumbling through the midfield, holding off her marker, and then a great through ball as well. Unfortunately, chance couldn't be finished off by Hopkins. Kind of got caught under her own feet there, but really good run from the freshman, as you said, and a great pass. Really looking confident in this playoff match.
We're going to see a lot of that today. Maggie Cagle, their star freshman, very active on the transition and the progressive play of this UVA team. And after that, nonetheless, Xavier is a very impressive team from what we saw, and they defeated a ranked team in Tennessee. What are your takeaways from that game, Mac?
Yeah, I think my takeaways are that this is the playoffs, it's the NCAA tournament. Anyone can beat anyone, and when it gets to that extra period, Xavier's been better than anyone. They've played 2 overtime matches already, playoffs, and they've outscored their opponents 5-0 in that session. So they know how to run the marathon. They know how to take their chances when they get them, and they're going to get a nice opportunity here on this free kick.
In those games that matter, that is what matters most, exactly. Who can step up in those situations is now Chloe Netzel was fouled there, the Villanova player, and to take this set piece, something that they could be very efficient in, the Musketeers, is going to be Rachel Dewey. Preparing for it, lining up outside the box is everybody. A lot of bodies now seeking to go inside the box. It is taken, floated up beautifully. Trying to look for a head, but Haley Hopkins doing it also on the defensive side, and in the rotation now is Alexa Spanstra, somebody that we can definitely talk about today.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. Spanstra, she scores a lot of goals, second leading scorer on her team, playing on that left wing, wearing that number 7. She's been very, very strong for the Cavaliers, but right now Xavier actually getting most of the possession and chances.
Xavier there was an attack trying to be made there again by Netzel. Again, Netzel on the pressure on the near side of the left wing for the Musketeers is now they have another set piece being taken again by Rachel Dewey. This time we have a corner.
Yeah, well, and it's one thing to create chances. It's another thing to take those chances. So I think that's going to be the difference in this match. Who's going to take their opportunities? Already a second set piece, like you mentioned, for Xavier.
There's the ball in, floated in, but headed out still in possession of Xavier, but there is a foul called on the header, on the clearance against the UVA defender, and they're going to retain possession, trying to rebuild and reconnect.
Yeah, once again, like the other set piece, it was a pretty nice floated ball by Dewey. Looked like he was going to the right spot. Unfortunately, just a foul in the build-up there. And Virginia can kind of break out and go the other way. But I think going back to saying being a ranked team, I don't think at this point in the tournament, the rankings don't really matter. Obviously, the seeding is out. Penn State obviously played up to that 2 seed, so they're getting to host these matches here. But these two teams are not home anymore, so I think the rankings don't matter. It just matters about how clinical they are.
Maggie Cagle now nearing the box on a 101. Gets a pass off to her friendly player there. Gets a crossing, but it is cleared right on time. Godfrey now with the ball. Gets a pass out. Hopkins right outside the box looking to cut in. Does exactly so. Dribbles past 2. Back now to Godley. Godley on the midfield. Floats one. Looking for Cagle. Looking for a foot there to connect to get it on goal, but it is again taken care of by Maria Galley for the Musketeers.
Yeah, good job, Galley, catching that clean, because that was a very uncomfortable cross shot, whatever you want to call it. As Virginia is the team now putting on the press. Both teams want not shy to press each other, it seems, in the early minutes.
Very much so. Both teams very, very comfortable right now with what seems to be the cold weather, as we have a dribble now, and there's a shot taken and a goal! Goal! Constant for UVA. Virginia De Hoos strike first. 7 minutes in. 1-0 lead for Virginia against Xavier.
Yeah, Juan, last week when we saw Quinnipiac, when we saw a goal, I thought that was the best goal I was going to see here all year. What a strike that was. Stepping into the shot and just kissing that far post and going in. What a beautiful strike. In Virginia, their pressing gets them the first goal.
And you will have to apologize for that one. That was Leah Godfrey with the strike. There were a lot of buddies there surrounding that ball. It was Godfrey that got the goal. A wonderful, wonderful goal for the Musketeers. That being said, it was worth mentioning there's a lot of players in this team that are capable of shooting from outside the box and completing those shots, those goals, and perfect placement by Godfrey. Very, very well done. That is her 7th goal this season. She also has 4 assists as now the Musketeers seek to strike back, but a goal very early on in this game.
And that's always fun to see, Juan. Early goal in the match. What's the reaction? Does Virginia just keep going on the hunt? As that's a really good ball in.
It seems that it was right offside. She was near the penalty area.
Yeah, it had to be offsides being that open near penalty spots. There's the strike again. Could not have placed that one any better, Juan. Wonderfully hit.
Godfrey, a wonderful job there, as you said. Very, very well done. And now here are the Cavaliers moving forward. Godfrey with the, that is not Godfrey, pardon. Moving on with the ball. There's a cut in. There's a pass through. Cagle with the ball, dribbles past one. Very well done. Cagle gains a lot of space. The freshman back into the middle. And rotating out to the outside. That is Emma Dawson. To Roos, to Cagle. Try to get it back to Roos. And the ball goes out of bounds, but retained possession by Xavier. Rachel Dewey with the ball, left back. Seeking to calm her team down a little bit after that strike very early on. And there was Godfrey. Rotating back are the Cavaliers all the way to the back line. A missed touch there by Constant, but again retained by the team in orange. Stodd down to Constant. The 2 center backs. Constant moving all the way forward, pushing up against the Musketeers. Cagle 1-2. Out to Lainey Roos playing right back now. Puts the ball into the middle. Good move by Theret. Floats it, but loses possession, and it is taken by Xavier. But again, the heavy pressure now by Haley Hopkins. Ball is pushed back slightly, given to the center back of Xavier, pushing up. Hopkins still a lot of pressure. Godfrey now. Cagle surrounding the player. Godfrey with the ball, the pass out. Spanstra on the left foot, trying to take a shot at it. Does so, and it just goes wide. Spanstra, great opportunity there for Virginia.
And Juan, you mentioned Xavier needing to calm down. You mentioned that, Rachel Dewey maybe calm her team down, but Virginia's doing a great job as we're going to get a look at this shot that just whizzed wide. Nearly another picture-perfect finish. But Virginia, the Cavaliers, doing a phenomenal job of not letting Xavier calm down. They're putting so much pressure on them. They're continuing to press. They're not letting them catch their breath, and they're really hunting that second goal, which you like to see with the team playing with the lead.
Really hunting it down and showing why this program is so consistent, so efficient in the NCAA tournament. They have a long history we will certainly discuss as the game progresses, but again, one of the most consistent teams in this tournament in their appearances and how far they go on it. As we have Xavier moving on to the midfield, but it is stolen again. A lot of pressure there now on the ball, giving it to Spanstra, but there to intercept that ball is Elise Lee.
Yeah, well, and I think part of that success sustained so long is just the work rate of the players. You see how hard playing with the lead early, and the Cavaliers are relentless on the ball, relentless on the pressure. Xavier's having a really tough time getting out of their own half.
Certainly the case as Constant gives it to Hopkins. Ball to the middle there. It is passed by Dawson. There on the ball was Roos. On it now is Stodd. Giving it to Godley. Looking for Spanstra, but taking care of again there. And looking to get a counterattack going are the Musketeers. Putting the ball into the middle. But again, you can see the heavy work of the number 3, Alexis Thierit, the center defensive mid for Virginia, who's playing a very big role now in rotating, finding space, but also reading what Xavier is doing so far.
See if Xavier tries to press up now with the ball in Virginia's half, but I think right now it's too easy for the Cavaliers center backs to go player to player, station to station. It's kind of, the pressure being sustained just doesn't feel like enough right now for Xavier.
Certainly as Kayla White, the goalkeeper for UVA, trying to relieve pressure from the team as Constant now moving on forward with the ball. Dawson now with a 1-2, looking for Haley Hopkins, the veteran for the Cavaliers, as the ball is now repossessed. That is Molly McLaughlin, somebody we certainly should talk about. Molly McLaughlin, a 5'7" graduate student from Indiana who has 89 appearances and a very long resume in this Musketeers team.
Yeah, Molly McLaughlin is very strong player, as you mentioned. He's got a great history. He's one of the veteran players that got to try and keep things going here. Still just less than 12 minutes in this match. There's a ton of time to go. And like we mentioned, both of these teams were able to score 4 goals last time out.
4 goals is certainly a lot for the first round, but a good tone setter. And the team that seems to be setting the tone here is Virginia. So we have a filtered ball out now for Hopkins. On the run is Spanstra. The chemistry between those two is splendid as Spanstra is cutting in, dribbling 101, but a great job there by Natalie Bain holding on to Spanstra. Natalie Bain, who is a freshman from Alexandria, Kentucky, against the veteran player Spanstra on the far side, on the left side in the Virginia attack. Godley to Spanstra. Spanstra floats one out to Constant on the middle of the field, facing little to no pressure now as they move on comfortably. Constant now puts one up looking for Hopkins, but doesn't quite get there. And the reason why she did that is because Haley Hopkins, we could definitely talk about her as well, the work she's put in this season.
Yeah, won 12 goals. I believe that is the most between any player on any of these two squads. 4 assists as well. 74 shots, 31 of those on goal. And I mean, you look at those 31 shots on goal, she's converting on over a third of those. So when she's in front, when she gets a look at the net and can put it on, she's scoring very often, and just a testament to her skills as a striker. And a little tacky foul there on Virginia, so perhaps a chance for the Musketeers to finally get something going in Virginia's half.
Definitely the case, and I was actually going to ask you, what do the Musketeers have to do with about 30 minutes left in this half to kind of bounce back from a very early strike?
Yeah, they need to pass player to player. You see how much Virginia's pressing. That means there's going to be somebody open, but they can't be rushing their decisions like on that last play.
Godfrey now looking for Hopkins. Hopkins on the ball, repossessing, looking for Cagle. Great pass to Cagle right inside the box. Gets a 1-on-1, now 2v1 and taken care of there. But again, ball bounces on their possession. Cagle on the ball, does not get fouled. Very smartly done by Rachel Dewey. Puts the ball in now. Xavier trying to get it out, just clear it, get rid of that ball, and again, defending against UVA, who's right now certainly taking care of possession, rotating, showing a lot of confidence here at Jeffrey Field.
Yeah, going back, that was a great tackle by Rachel Dewey, but you nailed it. Virginia's putting all the pressure on, and they're looking for more
Godfrey
goals.
again with the left foot. Sorry there. Godfrey again very swift to get into the box and looking for Hopkins. Kind of like a pass shot situation there. Another chance for Virginia.
I think UVA is doing a fantastic job on taking what's getting their way. Some of these shots are going wide, but it's because they're playing the flow of the ball. As you can see, this is a wonderful take. Instead of trying to cut it or force something, or maybe a chance to go right because of a tackle, she fires a shot towards goal, and it's a tough angle, but it's a good shot. It's a good attempt that at least puts a threat on the Musketeer players.
Certainly, as Godfrey can do that very, very easily, as we've seen so far. And Cagle again gets past one with pace, with dribbling to Hopkins, looking for the 1-2. The triangle play, there's a rebound. Cagle with the shot, but it goes over the crossbar with the left foot. Had a fortunate rebound there, gets the shot off, but unable to land it on the back of the net.
Yeah, Cagle there fading away. Got under that ball a bit and wasn't able to tuck it underneath the crossbar like you mentioned. We'll get the replay here. Left foot attempt falling away, and she actually did a good job getting pretty good pace on that shot, just unable to hit it with the precision that could double Virginia's lead.
Maggie Cagle, as we said, the freshman, very active in this game so far. Very active have been the trident that UVA has up top with Spencer, Hopkins, and Cagle. As we see the Musketeers now and McLaughlin trying to rotate around. There you can see the class that McLaughlin brings to the team, but again, facing a lot of pressure, even from the attackers. Hopkins in the middle now looking for a shot. Pressure there again, very, very poised, very much well-controlled ball as Cagle now on the left foot, puts it on the right, looking for Dawson. Dawson right inside the box, ball rotated again. Roos, Dawson, but there is Xavier to barely put it out of danger until Dewey puts it at a throw-in for UVA.
Yeah, Juan, as the UVA pressure continues to build, the snow begins to come down here in Happy Valley. Some light flurries and the wind's blowing, so we'll have to see if that can throw any wrenches into this match that, to be quite frank, UVA has been dominating thus far.
Certainly the case as we see a few bits of snow falling into our booth here. The wind is certainly picking up, and we'll see how those factors also affect this game. As Constant moves forward, gets the ball into Cagle. Cagle, surrounded by two, gets a pass out to Roos. Roos on the dribbling, tries to sneak past two, but again, there's the back line of Xavier. Certainly picking it up now is Natalie Bang, the freshman, rotating in the ball for McLaughlin. Developing a counter here is Xavier. On the ball now is their number 6. Emma Marcus on the ball. 1-on-1 here on the near sideline. Gets a left-footed cross in, and they get another set piece out of it. That'll be the third of this game, the second corner for the Musketeers.
Yeah, well, I really like Emma Marcus there. Didn't look like she had too many runners coming to the box, but she kind of takes that cross expecting to get a corner out of it or just a wacky deflection, and I think that's a smart play for Xavier, who we were just saying Virginia's been dominating, but set piece opportunity here. Musketeers can make this a whole new soccer match with just one strike.
Certainly the case. It's a 1-0 lead. One away from tying the game, but one also from getting a comfortable lead as the ball is floated in very near the goalkeeper, and very well done there by Kayla White. Very, very well done. The 5'6" senior Kayla White out of Arlington, Virginia, local, has 12 goals allowed in 17 games with a 79 save percentage. And I mentioned this because on the opposite side, Maria Galli, the 5'10" junior, has also a 79% save percentage.
Well put, Juan. These keepers are good. However, one goal we have in this game was perfectly struck, so it wasn't really anything the keepers could do about that one. We'll have to see. Xavier, I believe, still searching for that first shot on goal. I thought Emma Marcus had a good opportunity. That corner was very easy for Virginia's goalkeeper, but I thought Emma Marcus had an opportunity to maybe step in front and try and head that one down before it got to the keeper, but that ended up not being the case and ended up being a relatively easy corner to defend for the Cavaliers.
Definitely so, and it does seem that Xavier is seeking to bounce back against the pressure, but they also seem to be adapting the strategy of kind of waiting for the counter, waiting for a mistake, waiting for this number 3 ranked team to kind of fall off and sleep a little. As we see now, they're trying to repossess in the middle, but there is Constant with a very good challenge there on the ball, making it difficult for the Musketeers to possess the ball now as there's a rotation by their number 3. Again, they're at the center defensive mid. Look at that. Brilliant control there by the Reds.
And I think Xavier's trying their best to press like the Cavaliers are. But for the Musketeers, they're having trouble because Virginia's just been so good clicking passes together, having good first touches like that one right there.
Great touch by Godfrey out to Hopkins, trying to look for the 1-2, the back heel pass to Godfrey! Goal! Let me get it right this time. Godfrey on the strike, the left-footed shot this time. She can do it all, right foot, left foot, in the back of the net nonetheless. There's the result, 2-0 UVA up against Xavier.
Look at this replay, Juan. Oh, what a back heel there. And then not taking a touch, just finishing it first time with the left from Godfrey. But that pass from Hopkins, we already talked about how well she does scoring with the ball, but that back heel pass all started with the first touch in midfield. Wonderfully done. The Cavs are stringing those passes together, and now they do it in the attacking third, and you get a beautiful goal like that, and all of a sudden 2-0 to Virginia.
That was brilliant by Godfrey, and brilliant is the right word as well for what Hopkins did there. The back heel between two players, you could kind of see it a mile away. She was definitely looking to do exactly that, and it just landed perfectly. No hesitation, takes the shot. Goalkeeper is not going to be ready for a pass like that, for a shot like that after such a clever pass. As the Musketeers now rotating middle of the field. Bain with the ball.
And wanting to keep reflecting on that goal. A back heel is a skill, is an attempt that can oftentimes look awry or go very wrong. But that time when you get it right, it just looks so good.
Ball floated into the middle. There was the cross there. Trying to be possessed. This constant is called for a handball right outside the penalty box, and this could be dangerous and a good opportunity for Xavier.
This is a huge chance. This is shooting distance one. You mentioned both teams have a handful of players they can select to take a shot outside the box.
And they want to seem to grab the ball first for Xavier's number 21. That is Ella Rogers, who has 2 goals, 5 assists this season.
And this is going to be, you see the placement of the wall. Think about 4 players there for Virginia. Rogers has a good chance to try and tuck this one to the top corner of that far post.
You can kind of tell by the way she's standing.
She could lay it off as well.
Very much. There's a player there perfectly uncovered. As we get the whistle. And there's the shot and beautifully curled in. That's another goal. Goal! I'm going to call that golazo. Golazo. Ella Rogers. What a strike. From the free kick, curls it right away from Kayla White. What a shot. My goodness, Mac.
Here's the replay. Rogers, we all thought she was going far post. She goes near post. What a golazo. Bottom corner, wonderfully taken, well hit. The offense has not disappointed, Juan. I thought there was going to be a team, both these squads scored 4 in their last match. I thought maybe someone would slow each other down. But what a wonderfully taken set piece from Rogers. And once again, we got a 1-goal soccer game.
It's almost as if it is the second round of the NCAA Women's Tournament. Almost as if the stakes are this high for both teams with a lot of heart. Especially as we saw by Xavier scoring 3 goals on overtime to win the game against Tennessee a few days ago. 2 very, very capable teams as we're seeing now. The set piece is certainly coming through for the Musketeers. But this game is getting a little bit frisky here. Godley was fouled just now around the middle of the field, and you can feel the senses. The game is kind of settling in. There's a lot going on right now, and the one thing you can't do if you're UVA is fall asleep and let Xavier use those counters and those opportunities that they get.
And for Rogers, that was just her 3rd goal of the season. But what a wonderfully taken shot from her. Like we said, we thought she might go far post, might lay it off, and she fooled us both. She ends up going to the near side of the wall and tucking it perfectly where the keeper couldn't get it. It's going to be interesting to see from Xavier, Juan. I think if I were to look at this match right now, I'd say in the build-up, Virginia's been the better squad, but when it comes to the set pieces, it's been the Musketeers of Xavier.
Oh, 100%. That's Chloe Netzel there trying to get her way around. The other 23 on the other side, Lainey Roos. The battle of the number 23s there as on the throw-in is going to be Rachel Dewey. And we have our first substitution of the game. Regan Dancer coming in for Sonia Vargas.
Wow, we still got 22 minutes plus in this half. I think it's safe to say the next goal is going to be extremely important in this match.
Very much. It determines whether this game is going to continue to be very, very tight, or if Virginia has just enough fuel to kind of command the rest of the first half, as we're 21 minutes until we reach the half, and this game is nothing but exciting, a lot of energy. Both teams certainly seem not tired, but eager to score more goals here. Ball goes above Netzel, and it's possessed now by the 29, Brookie Soroka. For Xavier, ball is filtered in. There's a bounce there. Very unfortunate there, as it kind of seemed that Regan Dancer could have put her foot on it to get a shot, but just unable to. Ball came to her very fast.
Yeah, I don't know if she thought she was in an offsides position because she got out of the way, but regardless of what the call was, you have to try and attempt to make a play on that ball. If you're called offsides, you're called offsides, but at least you make the referee have to make a decision. That was an awkward play, and I really loved the first touch there coming out of it for Brooke Soroka. She had a really good first touch to lead herself down the line, and she's on the ball again now.
Soroka gets the pass out. They're looking for a Dancer, but cleared by Godley. Spanstra lightly held there by Elise Lee. Smart foul nonetheless, as she was getting the possession there in transition for UVA, as Godley to take the throw-in. Actually leaves it for her number 20, Talia Stott. Talia Stott is going to take the throw-in here for the Cavaliers.
Looks like Haley Hopkins is getting ready to check back into the match as well for Virginia.
Do you think that because of that 2-goal lead, they took her out?
Yeah, maybe potentially wanted to. It sounded like it was the end of the half, though. I'm trying to think back to last week when we saw Quinnipiac and Penn State, and head coach Erica Dombach took out some of her players with about 10 minutes left in the half. But it seemed a little early to take her out with a 2-goal lead, but now with the sense of urgency, she's got to come back in here. And the offense was flowing so smoothly with her in Central, and with that great back heel assist that we talked about earlier.
Very, very much. As Godley looking for a shot there, puts one up, looking for Spanstra, taken care of there by Bain. But the ball is possessed again. Theoret on the ball. Roos under pressure there, constant. A more and more alive Xavier team now. Kayla White rotating it now, finding Stodd.
I really like what I'm seeing from the Musketeers. Soroka, I think coming off the bench, he's provided some good energy right now, putting some pressure on the Cavaliers players.
Definitely so, as Godfrey has to go all the way back to repossess, but moving directly forward with no fear, no hesitation. Finding Spanstra. Spanstra on the right foot. Finds a player there. That's Dawson. Dawson on the rotation. Finding their number 26 there with the shot. That was a good shot there, but it was right on the middle and on the chest of Maria Galley there for another save.
Yeah, good job by Galley, allowing no rebounds, catching that one cleanly. Not the best strike we've seen all day. We've been a little spoiled with some of the goals, but good save nonetheless.
Definitely so, as the ball's going to be taken care of there now, right by the corner flag. Godley trying to get a good touch there, but it goes as a throw-in for the Musketeers.
And Juan, this is what I've loved, is really a trio or a quintuplet of substitutions from the combined squads. But I've loved Soroka from what she's bringing to this Cavs squad, or from the Musketeers rather. Because you see, instead of like earlier where the Virginia was able to just pass center half to center half and exit their half easily, Soroka, one player, will put all that pressure in that corner flag and now has their team getting a throw in the attacking third.
As I said, a big group of units there in substitution for both teams with 18 minutes remaining in the first half, as we see a few of them here in action. Bain hopping right in front of Hopkins with no fear. But it is intercepted there again. Theoret on the ball now. McLaughlin in the middle. The captain out now rotating it, finding Netzel. Netzel tried to make a run out of what Emma Flick tried to do there on the left wing, unable to. And possession now goes to Kayla White and Virginia.
Okay, well, and I wonder now, have we settled down from the golazos that we've been seeing? We've been getting spoiled here.
Oh, yeah.
No tap-ins
Oh, yeah.
today, all 3 goals spectacular. But as we settle down, what's the feeling from both sides? Like, do you think Xavier is happy with where they're at right now?
I think they really are. I think they're very happy that they were able to bring that energy back with that goal. And the field is way more spread out than it was before. They're not waiting for Virginia to attack. What do you think?
I think Xavier's going to be the happier of the 2 sides, even though they're leading. Virginia, they control possession. They scored 2 goals. You would think they'd be the happier. And maybe they are happy to have the lead. But I think the Musketeers are going to feel very good about their play. And I think we talked about how they're marathon runners, how they've played their best soccer late in matches and overtimes. I think Xavier is going to like where they're at because they know they can keep coming on as the match continues to grow older and the snow keeps coming down, that they're going to have their chances to try and come back and tie this match.
Xavier is a team, as you said, that does not give up, and they seem to kind of get more intense and more motivated as the game goes on. Constant now finding Hopkins. Hopkins with a lot of options, finding Godfrey, a really good option there. In the middle there, Cagle with the ball now. Godfrey there. There's Godfrey. Rotating it now. Top, nearing it, putting into the box, but it is headed out. Godfrey again on the ball. She can't stay off of it there. There's a rotation in the middle. There's the ball finding Constant once again. Constant trying to get a shot off, does so, but the ball curls out of the way of Maria Galli. Very comfortably looks it go out of bounds, and it's going to be a goal kick for Xavier.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, Juan. We've seen all the pretty things, but for something you practice, sometimes it ends up looking like that. And we saw, God, we're going to take a look at the replay here. Room and space to shoot, so the shot is not a bad idea. Just whipped that one well wide of the goal, but sometimes you hit it like that, and sometimes you hit it like Godfrey in the opening goal of the match, where it just kisses the far post and goes in. So it's always good to be ambitious and take those shots.
Always good as Cagle there looked for the foul. Godfrey again on the ball. Flamia with the ball now. Flamia with the left foot passes it up to Hopkins, who's on the bottom now, trying to look for a cross. Does so, and it is relatively headed out now until it does land on the head of Jane Alka, the recent substitution. But UVA still under pressure. 15 minutes left.
UVA seems like they've gotten their swagger back a bit offensively. If they give it up there, let's see how much they're going to press now. I wonder how much they can keep this up on. They've been very active pressing. They've got in the face of the Musketeer players. However, I don't know if that's something you can sustain over 90 minutes.
It's very hard to do in 90 minutes in any environment, but here with the snow coming down, you can see it now in your screens. The flurries are really beginning here, and the wind chills, everything is going to play a factor here in this game. This very important game that we have is UVA seeking to repossess and create.
Yeah, we're very lucky they've bundled us up pretty tightly up here in our booth. We're very blessed, but down on the pitch, it's wide open. The air is blowing. We saw a shot go wide, and the snow's coming down harder and harder.
Hopkins to Godfrey. Godfrey with the dribbling, with the possession, with the space to shoot. Gets a block there. Cagle trying to get the ball there as kind of a hard fall there with Maria Galli. Possessing the ball, helps her up.
Oh, she tried to.
Tried to at least.
Really good job by Galli there. She tracked that ball the way. This shot, I think, was fine in the back of the net if it wasn't blocked. That was a well-taken strike. But a really good job by Galli there, just continuing to tracking the ball and being brave. You know, a player coming right at her, gets under it, collects, is able to get Xavier going the other way. Still a lot of time in this half for more goals, Juan. Hungry for more, I think both teams are.
And one thing you might not see from your screens, but that I'm certainly noticing right now, is the head coach for Xavier, Nate Lee, on the sideline, very much attentive of how to make this team work around the entire situation of being down. The sense is the nature here, as we see coach there standing on the sideline. There's a lot of things to be done, to be switched around if you want to take care of this game and have the lead on it, rather than bouncing back and, you know, fighting the fact that you're down 2-1 in the first half. There's a little mistake there. One of the few mistakes we're seeing Alexis Thierat do for Virginia so far. Nonetheless, it does give a little bit of time of possession for Xavier.
You know, I must admit, I didn't expect much snow at all today, if any, but it's really picking up now, and
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something that's really going to play a factor in the second half. We'll see when the two teams, so there's a good call by the referee on that foul there. But as the teams go into half, we'll see how this continues for the halftime. But maybe even more interestingly, in our next matchup with Penn State, West Virginia, how's it going to affect that match going forward with it continuing to come down here?
It's certainly the case, and if it keeps up, we might even see this on Sunday with one of these two teams facing the winner of that matchup later on today. As there's a lot of snow, as you can see on your screens now, and there's a shot there by Godfrey. We know she can do it with the left foot as well, but this one goes out of bounds, giving Xavier a little bit of breathing room and a goal kick.
And that matchup next is a rematch from this past season, Penn State, West Virginia. However, this match today, like a lot of times in the NCAA tournament, these two teams have never played each other before. No familiarity, but both sides really seem to start beginning to find their footing, scoring the goals.
Certainly the case, and the big difference between these two teams, as there's a lot, the vision here is very interesting for sure on this field. But the Xavier team has been a parent and a participant of the NCAA tournament quite a few times. They've been in '98, in 2000, in 2019, and 2021. So they've been very active in the tournament in recent years, very successful there in the coaching of Nate Lee. And Virginia, we can definitely talk about their consistency because they have been to 29 consecutive NCAA tournaments, which is the second most out of any program in the country, and have been in the tournament 35 times total, which is also the second out of any team in the nation.
Yeah, Juan, and at this stage in the tournament, you start to see, I love this combination of these fresh blood. Xavier's making it a couple times, but still relatively fresh to this competition. And then a team like Virginia, who seems to be there every single year and always competing for the title. So I love seeing this matchup. You know, first time these two teams are playing each other and what they bring to the table, and they both brought a lot of flair and excitement.
Definitely the case too. Hungry teams. That's Netzel gets the ball in. There was a header there. Done. Possessed by Sroka. Out to Dancer. Dancer looking for her striker there, looking for Ella Rogers, but the ball is now in the hands of Kayla White.
A nice little two-touch play from the Musketeers there, but very good job by White coming out and challenging that one before any high danger chance could be created. And still 10 minutes to play, and the wind's starting to come into play as well.
Oh yeah, I did not expect this today. I did expect some goals as we're seeing, but this snow and goals is not a bad combination either, but the players certainly feeling the impact of the elements today as we have a throw-in for Xavier with 9:42 left to go in this first half. We'll see how much of that snow bundles up for the second, but nonetheless, you got to buckle up for this game because there's a lot going on and anything could happen in any moment, especially with the way the wind is picking up and the impact it has on the ball for sure.
Yeah, and something I see down on the sideline, not as much as right now, but for Virginia, they have Meredith McDermott and Lacey McCormick getting prepared to come on these final 10 minutes. And you're going to see them trying to jump up and down, trying to stay warm, just trying to do anything they can as the snow just keeps coming down relentlessly. And these players are trying to stay fresh, and I think we're going to see a ton of substitutions throughout this match, trying to keep everyone fresh here, not trying to get anyone too cold or too tired and maybe don't want to risk an injury.
Definitely, yes. Going out there is Maggie Cagle, and as you said, coming in, Meredith McDermott, one of the ones coming in. Leah Godfrey also coming out, the goal scorer for Virginia, one of the two goal scorers. And for Xavier, Dancer coming in is Simone Rivard Roberts, a 5'5" junior from Dublin, Ohio. Constant there on the header. The ball is put in once again, but it's going to go out the touchline. And again, goal kick for Virginia. A little bit of breathing room there as there's a lot of substitutions done. You can kind of tell by the impact of the snow. Both teams going to have to figure each other out again. There's a lot of new faces, fresh legs, cold legs perhaps as well. As, again, another substitution. Haley Hopkins is going to come out relatively before the end of the half.
Yeah, I think it's her second time taking a break here, so I'll have to keep an eye on her and how she's feeling. She had that dazzling assist earlier in the match, the back heel. No goals yet for her, though. I'm sure she'll want to get in on the party in the second half.
Oh, certainly is. Very, very unselfish play there with that goal, and very well done there on the attack. You can see the efficiency that this team has on the attack as Netzel is facing a bit of heavy pressure there by McDermott, who just came in. A bit of a goalkeeping mistake by Galley, giving the Cavaliers a corner. That'll be the first of the game, right?
Yes. It was a tough pass to take, and it was a good job putting the pressure on by the Cavs. We're going to get a little bit of a replay here. Give it a handful. As you mentioned, I believe that was Meredith McDermott, who you were talking about earlier, who just came in. So already good showing from her, putting the pressure on and getting the first corner for her squad. And let's see how Virginia does on their set pieces. They haven't had too many.
Here is Sarah Clark to take it. An outswinger floats up. Greatly headed there on the defensive side. Well done by Xavier. Repossessed, and a shot by Theoret off the left foot. Doesn't connect properly, goes out of bounds, and again, nonetheless, that is a good thing to see if you're UVA, having a big lead on the shots and the aggressiveness so far. That's the 8th shot they've had in this game.
Ambition won. Every player in this UVA side has ambition. They're trying to take those crazy goals, and they've scored 2 outstanding goals today, so you cannot blame them. That one a bit of a wild shot. It didn't really come close to bothering the goalkeeper. However, you just have to keep that working in your mind that even way outside the box, a shot could come in from the Cavaliers.
Well, that is certain for sure. Is Netzel. They're trying to look for
Good, Ella Rogers!
who just came in for the Musketeers. Great way to shield the ball away was the defensive side there for Virginia. Very, very well done. Constant with the ball. Holding back on the defense there, looking for McDermott. Unable to head it. Netzel now for the throw-in. McLaughlin kind of showing up there on the space. Blaine on the ball, rotating it now to Reed. Maddie Reed giving it away. Smart move by Elise Lee there, shifting around a few players, almost giving it to Jane Olcott there in the middle. Ball is fought for again. And it's going to be ball again. Another throw-in for Xavier. Trying to plan out, trying to get comfortable around this field and get an attack going.
Yeah, like we mentioned, their goal coming off a set piece, and they've been the team to play with corners and free kicks, but they haven't really strung passes together, and they continue to try this little over-the-top ball, but it hasn't proven too successful thus far.
Blumfeld on the pressure and ends up in a foul, committing a foul against Sarah Clark. Sarah Clark, a 5'6" graduate student, another veteran of this team from Brighton, Michigan. 19 appearances in 2022, 3 assists so far in this season. Again, another great display of shielding the ball there as the UVA attacker now. That is Jill Flamia with the ball, trying to get around a few defenders. Still on the ball, Flamia. And it goes out of bounds. It's going to be Lainey Roos on the throw-in now for UVA. Some rotation being done. Finding the open player there. Now Roos again on the ball. Fighting against 2. Ball is stolen. Now passed and taken care of. Now Blunfeld on the ball, dribbling, shielding away. Very well done. Gets past a few and now gets a pass off to Ella Rogers. Good bit of play there certainly by Blunfeld.
Very nice play there, getting it forward, forcing the action of the Virginia defenders, and now a throw in midfield. And Xavier, less than 4 minutes to play. This is the time. Virginia, I think, just wants to take this one into half at this point. Saw had that corner kick, that chance goes by the wayside. I think UVA probably comfortable taking their 2-1 lead now, but for Xavier, this is the opportunity to try and strike some fear into the heart of the Cavaliers by stealing a goal and tying this thing up for halftime.
Oh, that would be a great sight for them to see with 3 minutes remaining before the half, as right now it seems for UVA to be seeking to retain possession before anything of that kind could happen, as we have Maggie Cagle, that is the defensive side of Talia Stott. Talia Stott on the ball now. Rotating the ball, now shifting in. Roos on the ball, puts a pass out looking for McDermott again, but can't control it with the right foot. It's going to be a throw-in a very awkward position, however, for the Musketeers.
Yeah, you see the UVA players lumbering up forward now.
Bringing their cavalry, as you may say.
Very good one. See if they can create a chance here and maybe lower the esteem of the Musketeers.
Certainly so, as they possess the ball there, as we spoke of. But it's going to be a throw-in for Xavier.
A nice job by the Musketeers, just kind of working their way up the line right now, trying to get out of a dangerous area.
Cleared by McLaughlin. Smartly done, is trying to remove all danger from their side as the ball is again. Sarah Clark rotating, shifting, transition. Stodd finds Roos. Roos facing a little bit of pressure again now. Blumfelt putting pressure again now for Xavier as they rotate around, moving forward. Maya Carter gets the ball in. Maya Carter now finding McDermott. McDermott tried to rotate with the ball. Very well done by Ella Rogers, getting the ball back now. A shift there by Simone Roberts there. Very good touch there on the connectivity, the chemistry between them two, as Simone Rivard Roberts tried to catch Kayla White off guard with that shot, but didn't quite land how she wanted to, as the ball is traveling on the snow on the field for a second there. Kayla White repossessing it, and
yeah, I thought Grace Blumfeld was making a really nice run down the near channel. I thought that at first, I thought that was what the ball was intended for, because I thought she had loads of space to run into. However, it was kind of an awkward, wild shot attempt, and not sure if we're going to see any more big chances at this final minute.
50 seconds to go as McDermott gives the ball up for her attack, and somebody who haven't mentioned in a bit, Spencer on the ball in a bit of space as well, but Elise Lee is closing up on her. Spencer goes inside, cuts past one, past two, still in the box, facing three now. And the shot by Theoret is taken and takes a little skip, but it lands in the hands of Maria Galli there. Possessing the ball, 30 seconds left. We'll see if she plans to calm her team down, go into half with the confidence of being down only by one with the shot disadvantage, but also knowing they could score whenever they can and set pieces and those opportunities to catch them off guard.
Yeah, let's see if she wants her team to be on the ball as the half ends. Doesn't want to give Virginia any more ammo to work with. It looks like that might do it.
And it does look like that is the case as we head into halftime with a very, very exciting game. 3 wonderful goals in a winter wonderland, perhaps you can say, here in Happy Valley. 2-1 lead. Leading is the Virginia Cavaliers against the Xavier Musketeers. Very good game, very good half so far. So stay tuned. I'm Juan Mendez on play-by-play alongside Mac Young here on this special stream on ESPN Plus in the second round of the NCAA Women's Tournament. Stay tuned and we'll be right back with another half of very exciting, cold soccer. We welcome you back to Jeffrey Field. A little bit clear of snow, but definitely not clear of goals in a very, very strong matchup and strong half that we'd had so far, with Virginia leading 2-1 against Xavier. Mac, what does Xavier have to do in the second half in order to get back in this game?
Yeah, Juan, Virginia's been relentless in their pressing, and they've done a great job of it. And I think Xavier's going to have to mimic some of what Virginia has done. With those 1-2 passes, they need to be clinical on the ground. It's going to be hard to go over top in the air, sending long balls over the top. So they're going to have to get the ground game working, be clinical on their first touch. And that's going to be really important for them to string passes together to get a good opportunity at the goal, because it's been hard to come by chances for Xavier without there being set pieces. And they're going to have to find a way to try and get opportunities outside of set pieces.
Definitely the case. And before heading into this half, certainly have to mention that big thank you to this live production team that we've had today with ESPN Plus and Akrud is helping us stay warm here in a very cold afternoon now here in the booth with you, Mag. Very, very happy to join you here in this very special game today, as Virginia seems to be, as we saw in the first half, the more aggressive team off the bat. But we know Xavier trying to get the ball back now from Quidri.
And Juan, something we talked about in our little halftime talk is Xavier's been so phenomenal in overtime. They've been the team that's loved to play a marathon runner style. So here's a good chance coming.
Netzel now on the counterattack. Netzel gets past Theoret. Netzel with the cut, but Theoret with the sliding challenge. Another sliding challenge there, but on the ball is Netzel again. Gets past one, puts the ball in, but it is chopped away and cleared by Theoret after all. Now Kegel on the ball. Floats one out looking for Spanstra. Spanstra gets possession of it, but well done there by Dewey. Pardon.
Yeah, really nice job by Dewey, sealing off the counterattack. But as we were mentioning before, Juan, Xavier's been phenomenal in the extra session. If they can tie this matchup and get it there, that's where they felt most confident, where Virginia hasn't really been faced with that kind of adversity in this competition yet.
Certainly so, as they were able to beat Fairleigh Dickinson very comfortably, and they're seeing now a bigger test in Xavier, a team that, like you said, outlasts other teams, a team that does not give up for sure. Is Rogers there, the goal scorer on the free kick, giving the ball back to her defense, searching for Sroka. Sroka gets it right on time before it goes to the touchline, but the referee does say it's going to be a goal kick in favor of UVA.
Soroka's pace and energy has really stood out to me for the match. It looked like dead. No one was going for it. Was heading out of play, and Soroka did a great job to even make that close and try and feed one into the 6-yard box. So I've really liked what I've seen from her, and I think she's really earning that playing time after not getting the start initially.
Definitely. You did mention a lot about how her presence made this team more alive on offense for sure, and rightfully so. She is starting here in the second half, as we had a hard challenge there and a foul called, and a set piece that favors Xavier so much, as we saw in the kick by Rogers, the free kick by Rogers, and the wonderful goal that they obtained. To kick it now is going to be Dewey, looking for the cross for the center. Ball is floated up, looking for the head there of Blaine. Rogers was there, but now we have a counterattack forming up. It's Spanstra. Spanstra for UVA going now in a 1-on-1. Gets a dribbling in, cuts inside. There's 3 players up top to find. A pass is made, but Blaine is there just enough to recover, but McDermott's on the ball now. That was Maggie Kegel on the ball, pardon, and then it is taken away. Netzel finding Sroka.
Really nice job by the Musketeers there, staying calm. I thought the Cavaliers had a great counterattack cooking, and they might want to have one here after a mistake.
They might have one again as Spencer has the ball, facing some pressure by Dewey. Now Godfrey, the goal scorer today for UVA, gives it to Guidry. Guidry with the ball, rotating around, getting past a few, but is swarmed now by blue jerseys. But the ball does land on Godfrey's foot. The right-footed Godfrey gives it to Constant, giving back, giving a little bit of space to this team in orange. Rotating again now on the near side. Spanstra against Dewey, gets a nice move in there. Pats one inside the box. Gets past another now on the left foot. It's a little late, but on time. Finding Kegel, but it does seem that the flag was raised and the ball snuck right out the touchline for a goal kick to Xavier.
Really great movement by Spanstra, keeping the defense guessing, getting around multiple defenders, driving that touchline as you said, and nearly had it down to the inches perfectly, but unfortunately for her, just went out of play. But I think that was going to be Virginia's 3rd goal if that ball just didn't cross that touchline, and Virginia would have had a grade A scoring chance.
Definitely could have been a great scoring chance there, as Kegel had it on the left foot, as Rogers there trying to get past Guidry, giving it to Theoret. Now Dewey with the ball, giving it to Blaine, trying to clear it again, finding the head of Rogers, then cleared out of play fully all the way back past Constant and to Kayla White of Virginia. It's number 25 for Xavier there, Emma Flick. Emma Flick playing in the midfield right now for the Blue. Sonia Vargas there was dispossessed, and a foul there on the challenge by Sroka.
The referee's been pretty consistent today. He's been good making the fouls even for each team. And Xavier might have had a good break there if that challenge was committed cleanly, but unfortunately for them, that was just not the case, and Virginia has a chance to slow things up here and see if they can dictate this second half, because they dictated the early part of the first half, and that's how they got their lead one. But see what the answers are in the second half. As Xavier was a side that, as the game went on, they looked better and better, and I feel like that's been the story of them so far in the NCAA tournament.
I believe it has too, and the fact that they're number 3 seed, they're a very polished team, very organized team, but they're falling against the surprising factor of Xavier and the way they're definitely more loose around the field. As there was a foul called there against Virginia, but definitely a more free team. You see a lot of rotation. You can see a player that plays in one position finding themselves helping out in a completely other side, and that's one thing that it's helping the Musketeers a lot so far in this game. As Netzel there finds Sroka by herself, however, against the light swarm of orange jerseys, cuts the ball in and finding McLaughlin. McLaughlin with the ball now, shielding it away. Sroka, that is a left-footed shot, but it goes a little bit too high, and that was Emma Flick there on the left-footed shot for Xavier.
Yeah, another ambitious attempt, but I really thought Soroka again did a great job. It's making something out of nothing. It looked like she was surrounded by jerseys, and here's that left-footed shot attempt. Got some pretty good power behind it, but just getting under the ball, leading back a little bit too much. Might want to be stepping into that more. And after we thought the snow might have settled down and stopped, it's picking up again.
It's picking up once again, and arriving now with 37 minutes left in the second half as Guidry tries to clear it. A little bit dangerous though, but Constant deals with it nicely. Ball is cleared out now, looking for Haley Hopkins, who we haven't talked about too much, but certainly can't talk about again with that beautiful assist on the second goal of Godfrey with that wonderful backheel pass.
Yeah, she's known as the leading goal scorer of this Cavaliers squad, but there, being selfless, putting a picture-perfect backheel together. Artistic goal, to say the least, with the first-time finish as well. It was really well done.
One of those that you can hang at the museum, for sure.
At the Louvre.
At the Louvre Museum. Great assist there as Guidry now on the ball. Pressure by Dancer, who just came in for Sonia Vargas. Guidry, left foot floats one, looking for Spanstra. Dealt with there relatively.
That's a good run by Spanstra, though. It doesn't make much out of it, but she did a good job kind of causing pressure out of nowhere. It was a good ball in, but well alert by the UVA defenders.
Certainly the case, as finding Cagle now. Constant. Good rotation there by UVA, finding Guidry again. Spanstra with a little back heel move there. Fancy movement now by UVA as she gets past Dewey, trying to get past Blaine. Cuts in, is surrounded again, and gets a throw-in after all that movement. But Spanstra again showing her versatility and ability overall around the ball.
Yeah, great bit of footwork and skill, and now down this near side channel, she's making a lot happen right now, and that was a great pass.
Godfrey, 1v3, gets past all of them. The speed on the ball. Cuts in, finding on the right foot now, finding Durette, who finds Guidry, who's seeking to go back a little bit, not force any attack, possess the ball, control the game. Says Constant there with that pass, as it is now relatively intercepted there. Dawson with the delayed pass, but it's going to be a throw-in for the Cavaliers. Now, Mac, I certainly have to ask you, if you're the Cavaliers, are you really seeking to take control of this game with a goal, or seeking to maintain it how it is with possession?
And one, my answer is probably going to be a little counter to what's going on in the match right now, because I think Virginia's doing a great job, actually. Just maintaining possession, making it hard for Xavier to get anything going. But if you're asking me, I think they should really be looking to hunt for that third goal. They've looked best when they've been hard in attack, and here they come again.
Here they come again. Godfrey finding Guidry. Guidry, left foot, puts it in a little bit slow. A slip by Hopkins there, but it is possessed again now. On the ball, Spencer on the right foot, floats one up, a shot, but it lands in the middle. Off between the goalposts, landing right and safely in the hands of Maria Galli.
Yeah, I think Juan Spencer saw she hasn't had too much space to shoot today, so she got that inch of space to get a shot off on her favorite right foot and put some good whip on it, but right at the keeper. And now Virginia looks like, unlike they were doing a little bit earlier in this half, it looks like they're hunting for that third goal, because the next goal in this game is extremely important, and I think you can agree. If I was a betting man, I don't think this match is going to remain 2-1.
Definitely, that third goal would mean a lot, especially less than 35 minutes to go in the second half. Virginia, the 2-1 lead. All goals coming in the first half if you're just tuning in here on ESPN+. Virginia seeking to retain possession but also take over this game, as they're certainly the favorites coming in here, even in this neutral setting at Penn State University. But here we go, here we are, as we have a snowy afternoon and we have Xavier trying to plan out an attack now, as they so need to tie this game.
Again, let's see if Xavier can find a way to do it in open play. Every big chance for them has really come through set pieces. So that's the question I think we're asking right now. That's the question that Xavier's got to be asking it themselves. Can they create something? Can they create those opportunities from open play in the pitch?
Here's Hopkins now on a 3v3, as a few defenders for Xavier trying to catch up, but the ball's put into Cagle. Cagle, the dribbling. There's a 1-2 possibilities there for the pass. Cagle still on the ball. Hard challenge there, but ball lands and is floated up, looking for Hopkins. Controls it with the head, but it is cleared away out of danger by Rogers. Godfrey still on the ball.
Yeah, they're not out of the woods yet. Still pressure coming.
Dawson try to find Cagle again. Rogers trying to get her team going. Bruce now rotating the ball all the way back. Moving up the pitch now. Virginia. University of Virginia now putting in some pressure, moving all their bodies to the Xavier side. Guidry. Thirret. Finding Spanstra. Guidry making a run. Spanstra still on the ball. Cuts one in. Another shifty move there, looking for Guidry, unable to connect. Dewey was there on the steal. Thirret rotating now to Constant. Constant now finding Dawson. Dawson up, Cagle with a lot of space to work with. On a 1-on-1, Cagle is there, puts the ball up. It is lightly touched there on the defense. Very well done, and it does land safely again on the hands of Maria Galli.
Yeah, Virginia's doing a good job keeping up the pressure. As this cross in, I think it might have taken deflection. Could have been a corner if it went out of play. So good job by Galli there to be alert to picking up that ball. For maybe it might have headed out of play, or maybe it was always going to stay in. But she's been very good on her line. Both goals, really no chance for her to save. So she's been a sharp keeper today for Xavier.
Certainly so, as again looking for Cagle there on the far sideline by the Big Ten logo. And a bit of passing play now we're seeing from Xavier. Have to watch out though for all the heavy pressure from all the orange jerseys around them. As Blaine try to get a pass around Hopkins, who gets the ball back and moves her team forward. Guidry now on the ball. Spencer making a run. Guidry still on the ball, gets past everybody. Spencer now left-footed cross, looking for Cagle, controls it with the chest. Unable to get a shot off, and very dangerously but smartly taken away by two defenders from Xavier.
Yeah, and potentially, if that went wrong, Xavier could have conceded a penalty, and that's the last thing we want to see. They do not want to hand Virginia an opportunity to a third goal, but really well done to be physical but not overbearing inside that 18-yard box. And right now, Xavier's need some changes. They're going to make 3 to try and just generate something, because they're hanging in this game. So 1-goal contest, but that goal is just, it doesn't look like there's anywhere to be found at the moment.
Definitely, it does seem that Virginia is the more poised team in terms of attacking. The team that has more of a plan when attacking, you know, giving it to Hopkins, to Cagle nearing the box, finding those crosses. A lot of versatility, but also a lot of composure, you know, knowing what to do, when to attack. Is Hopkins there, try to shield the ball away, does give her team possession. Dawson. To Roos. Gives it all the way back to Stott. Stott with a few options, moving on now past the midfield line. Guidry. Guidry again. Good interception there by the defense. Very well done by Reed. Now on the ball. Just came in. Olcott. Can we get down low now? Smart rotation there by Xavier. Leasley was there on the pass looking for Dancer. Now Olcott again on the ball. Smart move there. A bit of a foul, but does not get called. Given advantage is Godfrey strong with the strong repossession of the ball. Left-footed pass now looking for Roos, who is just going to get there on time, but it does sneak out of bounds. Could have been very dangerous if she was able to get that ball and keep it in play.
Yeah, it looks like more substitutions for Xavier. Really doing anything they can, just getting fresh legs and trying to cause some trouble, because that Virginia back line hasn't really been bothered within the first 15 plus minutes of the second half.
Oh, you're right about that. They've been very, very solid in this game, not giving many opportunities at all, you know, keeping the shots very low, keeping the shots to 3 from the Musketeers. As the ball is going to trickle down to the foot of Kayla White. There is Kayla White there, as we see on our screen, taking her time. Really no rush for Virginia unless they're really trying to solidify their win and be able to play on Sunday. McLaughlin to Olcott. Olcott intercepted there by Spencer. Well read there on the pass. Spanstra gets a pass in, looking for Hopkins. And well defended there is Grace Haggerty playing the left back right now, and we have a player down in the middle of the field. That is Jane Olcott, who we just mentioned. The junior from Potomac, Maryland.
Yeah, as far for injuries today, hasn't been too many compared to, I think, what we saw last week. There was a lot of injuries due to weather and things going on, but unfortunate to see now player go down.
As everybody's heading toward the sidelines to hydrate, and we'll let you know what happens with the Xavier player who is currently down right now. But very important to hydrate as well in these conditions, not only in the heat but in the cold. You get dehydrated just as much as another factor that plays in this special of a stage today.
Yeah, you're certainly right. You gotta keep the fluids in you. Moving so fast, cutting so hard in this weather, things can tighten up, get cold. You never want to see it happen. That's how injury occurs. But right now, as we're looking at Xavier's squad, trying to fire it up, trying to find where that goal is going to come from. It's been so tough, and obviously you mentioned how strong they've been on set pieces, but you can't overly rely on those plays to score all your goals. So we're going to have to see, where's the play going to come from? Where's the attack going to be? Are they going to try and keep floating over the top for someone to run under? Are they going to try and build up from the back? Are they going to try and attack through the middle or through the wings? There's got to be some strategy for the Musketeers to try and break through this Virginia press and find that second goal.
As we saw there, Jane Olcott walking out the sideline now after that fall. Hopefully she's okay and able to recover. And coming in for her right now is Avery Lockwood, 5'6" junior from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who previously played in Indiana and actually earned Big Ten honors the 3 years that she played in that program. So a lot of Big Ten experience, more used to the weather, but also used to the quality level of these different conferences.
Yeah, Big Ten, obviously a super strong conference with teams like Rutgers and Penn State's competing at the top, and it's a lot of good experience. And like you mentioned, primarily you play in weather like this a lot. You go from August, where it feels like 100 degrees out here, and to today we're almost at Thanksgiving, and now it feels like if I stand still for too long I'm gonna freeze.
Oh yeah, 100%. You got to keep moving in this type of weather, and moving the ball right now is Virginia, now filtering it to Spanstra. Great touch there with the left foot. Quality touch again there, as we see Roos now playing at the left back position.
And Spencer's looking better and better all match long. I don't know if she's closer to our box right now, we can see her a little bit better, but she's looked like a strong player this second half, and I won't be surprised if she finds an opportunity.
Talking about strong, Simone Rivard-Roberts there, putting the body on the line against Roos.
You can see Roos was grabbing the shirt. I didn't know if the referee was going to see it, but it was a great job to keep the play going for the Musketeers and just get a pass off. And now more set pieces. This one's very far, but look at all the players for the Musketeers going forward.
Ball is put into play now. McLaughlin trying to get a touch on it. There's that ball skipping around, a little bit of pinball. McLaughlin with the shot, but it does not connect where she wanted to. The ball facing the right side. Very safe for Kayla White, but another shot for Xavier here. First one of this half.
Yeah, Juan, and Lee there with the free kick attempt, and there's the replay. Shot going well off target, but that ball fell in a dangerous area, and it was well put in. And we just continue to say the set piece has been very good for Xavier. It's just, you know, from that distance, from that attempt, it just doesn't feel like it's sustainable to try and find multiple goals in the game. You can get one dazzler like they already have today, but it's going to be hard to ask for multiple to come through that way of play.
Galley now to Lee. Lee pressed by Spencer now. Spencer, heavy pressure. Lee clears it. Well done now. Finding a player on the attack, but taken care of again by the Virginia back line. Talia Stodd on that opportunity.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't said enough. We said they haven't had much to do, but this Virginia back line's been more than up to the challenge. They've been strong, they've been on target, they've been confident in their abilities, and they continue to frustrate the Musketeers' attack. The one goal they conceded is off a picture-perfect free kick, so not much you can do there.
Rat on the ball, smart move, back heel, gets a touch off of Simone Rivard Roberts. Very smart, and now it's going to be Rouse with the throw-in. Rouse looking for Godfrey on the movement, trying to find Hopkins. Smartly uses the body, and it's going to be another throw-in for the Cavaliers. Rouse finds Spencer a little bit. Back heel again, some back heel action we're seeing from the Orange. Rogers, rotation now. Spencer again with the pressure, but gets called for a foul by the referee in that one. Certainly not liking it, but a mistake is committed there as Rouse possesses the ball. Spencer right back on it. Finding Dawson. Dawson, look at the spin there, very smart move.
Nice turn, spin cycle.
You might see that a lot if you watch Manchester United. Anthony does that a lot.
I'm excited to watch Anthony in the World Cup as well. It should be fun. Exciting things coming next week.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. 2 days away from the beginning of the World Cup. Very exciting. A lot of tournament play going on. On a high level of soccer we're seeing. Rogers with the header.
There were some claims for handball there. Thought it might have caught the arm, but no call from the referee.
And that does get called, a light push on Stodd. And now we get to see how Virginia can take advantage of set plays themselves with the height of Haley Hopkins, for example.
And how aggressive they can get. Looking at Hopkins, she's going to the very back of the line. This is a deep free kick attempt, but I wonder if the Cavaliers are going to be hunting back post, or maybe they hunt for the front, and maybe Hopkins come to that back post for the secondary, a flick on perhaps.
Perhaps indeed, as Rat is having a lot of targets to find. And it's a short pass done by Godfrey, making a run is Rat. Finding Rat is Godfrey there. Now pressure against two. Rat, 1v2 here. Few body feints, few moves, and gets a throw-in after all that. Good amount of work there by the center defensive mid.
Juan, I loved the free kick idea there, but the execution was just off. There was no one marking Rat, and she was going to be taking a wide open run down the near channel, but that ball was just behind her and allowed the Xavier defenders to come out and challenge it, and now they're forced to throw in. So good job defending by Xavier. Could have been executed a bit better by Virginia though.
I agree with that, Mac, as Rouse trying to get a cross in. Lee deflects it off the chest, and it's going to be another set piece that could be taken advantage of for Virginia, but they also have to watch out for the possibility of a counter. Nonetheless, looking for three. Could be a big, big moment for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, and the snow's really blowing. It looks like it's coming from our left to our right. So that could possibly push this corner kick away.
Godfrey trying to look for Hopkins. A header is made there on the back line. Was Stodd, but does not connect with the goal line. Maria Galli is going to take the goal kick for Xavier.
Now on about 22 minutes to play. I feel like Xavier's got to get the sense of urgency up. The time keeps ticking. We're over halfway through this second half, and really, you can't really put on your finger a great chance that Xavier's have to tie this game.
They're started with the header. Caught everybody off guard, but it didn't land after all. Solid chance there for Virginia as we had Olcott come back. Good to see, replacing Lockwood on the midfield of the Musketeers. Also coming in again was Sonia Vargas, trying to spark some offense into this team with 21 minutes left to go. Spanstra caught sleeping there as there's a rotating player now for Xavier on the attack, but again very active in the past few minutes there. Again is Stodd clearing the ball out for what looks to be a throw-in at another awkward position there in the corner on the final third.
We'll see if they attempt a long throw-in for the Musketeers in here into that 18-yard box, or if they're trying to go short.
So we see another attacker, Regan Dancer, just came in with the Musketeers, but Spencer now clearing the ball. Hopkins under pressure. Blaine gets past her. Does get called for a foul very late on the challenge. She is not happy about that call.
Yeah, I think it's a good call, though. It was a bit of a trip up. Hopkins is upset because it looked like she was going to be away one-on-one, and with her skill and with her abilities, could have been going to make it a 3-1 game, but instead the foul is called, and now Xavier, another opportunity. This one a little bit closer than the last one. Still pretty far out, but all their players going forward.
Elise Lee to float the ball up. Trying to find some heads there, looking for Blaine. Now here's Dancer on the ball. Trying to get some help there with the pressure by UVA. Very much helping their case as there's a foul there right around the rotation. It's going to help their possession of the ball now and repossess with 20 minutes left in the second half.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Xavier that they might have. The ball in initially wasn't great. As we're going to get a look at the foul here. It's just a tripping up, and it's a right call. But Musketeers had something going in their offensive half, but ends up getting thwarted by a foul.
Olcott missed pass there, lands on Cagle. Hopkins missed the opportunity to pass it there back to Godfrey. Now on the ball. Xavier now trying to get an attack going. Emma Marcus. Rouse with the defense. Rouse shielding the ball away, but Marcus gets it back. Very fought battle there, but Rouse gets the best of it. Now Godfrey trying to get a counterattack, trying to finish this game off. Floats one to Spanstra. Haley Hopkins is right alone in the middle. There's a 2v1 here if she can get the pass done. Fakes one out. Cagle is on a run inside the box. 1-on-1. Body feint fake, but Galley gets a hand in there. Cagle's still on it. Takes a shot in, and it is previously said, but it's going to land in the back of the net. Goal! Maggie Cagle, we called her name the entirety of this game, and there it lands. The agility gets her a goal here. 3-1 Virginia.
And that goal was needed, and it was very well done by the counterattack. And Cagle ends up, it looks like a good save initially. He's going to break down the replay here. It was a good fake, good pass to Hopkins here. And Cagle coming on. It was a great initial save, or at least initial deflection, as she was able to run wide, and this play could have been over right here. But Cagle instead regathers her health, stays calm, and most importantly puts good pace on it. She put enough power behind that, the keeper got a piece. But it's in the goal because she was able to stay composed and put enough power behind that shot to sneak it inside that near post.
So precise, reading the movement of the Xavier defense there and able to catch Galley off guard there. Galley with a very, very good effort there on the feint, on the fake there with the ball, and prolonged the play, but again, it just resulted in Cagle being able to land the ball in the back of the net very cleverly for their third goal so far in this game for Virginia. Now we'll see how Xavier can respond as they're moving on forward to Sonia Vargas. Vargas now cutting in, trying to look for the running number 10 Blumfeld, but a little bit too far, and it will be a goal kick for Virginia.
That's a good run of play for the Cavaliers. They just couldn't put the last notch together, and desperation time kind of killed them in their that last Virginia goal. They had too many players forward. But unfortunately, the reality is, less than 18 minutes to go in this match, trailing by 2 goals against a team as good as Virginia, they're going to have to just keep playing with that risk that Virginia can counterattack because they need to start scoring goals. They're running out of time.
The big risk right now is certainly being seen as the Musketeers are playing with primarily 3 players on the back and very vulnerable to a counterattack as they try to do a long pass there, but Kayla White smartly takes her time, has the ball in her hands, and with 17 minutes left, has plans of probably making sure her team possesses the ball mostly and does not get caught off guard in the counter or in any mistakes that could be done in the back line.
Yeah, now it feels like Virginia can lay off a little bit. They have the multiple goal advantage. You know, there's less than 17 to go now. It feels like Virginia is in control, and when they have the ball, they're just going to possess, run some clock, put some good passes together. Where if you're Xavier, it's time to just throw everything, trying to throw the kitchen sink, as they say, at this Virginia defense.
As there's a foul there on Rouse. Very good job today by Rouse, certainly taking care of the ball, shielding it, not letting Sonia Vargas get going there on the near sideline on the attacking side for Xavier. Sonia Vargas, who a 5'5" junior from Hilliard, Ohio, who has been very consistent, was an all-freshman in 20, and as we see here on the foul, there was Rouse getting fouled by Dumfeltis. Now live here, we see Haley Hopkins getting fouled as well in a set piece for UVA.
This could really be the dagger in the heart of the Musketeers coming from the Cavaliers. This is a dangerously taken free kick. It's probably a couple yards closer to the sideline than the first half goal was taken by Rogers. So I don't know if we'll see a shot attempt here. I think they're going to be looking for one of their big bodies near that 6-yard box and maybe pounce with a header. But that would be my guess, Juan. I've been completely proven wrong before.
And here we go. Certainly going to look for Stodd or Hopkins for sure in the set piece. As there the ball goes. Landing in the middle of a lot of blue jerseys, but again lands in the possession of Constant and UVA. Rotating Stodd now down low. Furette getting past Blumfeld. Lots of space around the defenders, lots of time, lots of opportunity to be calm around, but also you want to send a message to your next opponent. So UVA is here to attack as well. Furette with the ball, finding Hopkins inside the box. Nears a get past one, smartly done. Trying to get a pass going there is Rouse. Alcott with the pressure. Rouse unable to reach it there, and it's going to land in a goal kick. Good job by Alcott there, not letting Rouse get across in.
Yes, very good job by Walcott on well. But really good, nice work by Hawking, though. Keeping possession, not trying to be rash, keeping the ball for as long as she can, as now we take inside 15 minutes to play. But here's a replay for you. Driving that touchline, really good pressure once hit by Walcott. Just cutting off the run and allowing that ball to make its way out of play.
A lot of substitutions for both teams, trying to bring fresh legs in with 15 minutes remaining as McLaughlin now give the ball back to her defender. There's Reed trying to look for some spark there up top with Brooke Soroka again coming back in with more energy this time as Kayla White grabs the ball once again. Certainly no rush if you were a UVA supporter at this moment, but if you're Xavier, you're really trying to bring in that spark that got you that win in overtime on your first round matchup against Tennessee, another ranked team, as they're trying to bring down another ranked team here today in Virginia.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's prevailing so much for the Cavaliers today is how organized they were on defense, how confident they were that when they got up 2 and then they got up by 2-1, and now when they got up by 3-1, they're not feeling any of the pressure. Xavier is having a hard time creating the chances, but just as much, the Virginia players are feeling extra confident, like they can be not touched on their back line. You can see the confidence they're playing with. There's still a lot of time in this match, but it's hard to look down the pitch and not notice that the Cavaliers look like the winning team right now, and the Musketeers look a little bit deflated. They're going to need a big chance, a big opportunity to present itself if they want to try and make this a game again.
They're definitely going to need another spark to come by at this timely moment, as there was a mistake there on their rotation by UVA. Now with the ball is Dewey trying to get somebody forward. McLaughlin there was showing out. A pass is made, looking for a dancer on the opportunity. Sonia Vargas under pressure against the keeper. Ball is floated, controlled by McLaughlin, a header by Dancer. On the defense again, there again is Kayla Wise. We've said her name quite a few times, but we haven't spoken on the role that she's played so far. Very safe with the ball, very decisive, and certainly a reason why this Virginia team is so good defensively.
Yeah, she's been fantastic. She's done a really nice job charging off her line when she needs to be, being confident, not afraid to come out and play the ball, and even using your feet sometimes.
McLaughlin.
A keeper that hasn't been a player that the Virginia players had to worry about, and that's almost the best kind of keeper. You don't even have to think about her back there. You just know that she's going to be doing her job, and she's going to be doing it very well.
Certainly so. That entire back line of UVA has done a very good job today, as McLaughlin is trying to put a shot together there with the left foot, but it does not go as expected there with the left foot. Calmly again looked at by Kayla White, but another shot by Xavier. That'll be their fifth. As we see now the Park Avenue Army, Penn State's fan base already getting ready there in the stands, enjoying some of the cold certainly.
Yeah, that shot whipping wide, but even if it did get on goal, it didn't look like it had the pace to beat the keeper. And you can see kind of the desperation for Xavier, just trying to throw something on net like that. So we're nearing the 10-minute mark, and Virginia can smell the third round.
Already can with 11 minutes to go. 2-goal lead right now. But there is Rogers, the goal scorer for the Musketeers. Trying to get something going as McDermott there with the ball with the header, looking for Hopkins. Looking for the attack there, and counters Rouse. Pokes the ball away out of Sonia Vargas. Sonia Vargas, another player that is very valuable for this team that hasn't been too present on the offense today. Sonia Vargas scored against Tennessee last week in a very valuable victory, as we have a counterattack going and a shirt pulled down. Smart foul by Reed, but certainly we'll get a booking for that one.
Yeah, it's our first booking of the match. Pretty clean game overall, actually, as the first yellow card comes out against the Musketeers.
Maddie Reed gets the booking, and now it's going to be Constant, Claire Constant, to take the set pieces. We see the replay here on the what could have been called a foul, but it was a smartly poked that ball by Rouse, as the other foul was shown there. Very light shirt pull.
You can see the hand on the hip, and that's why it's going to get called, and it's not as much the vicious contact as it is stopping a really big counter-attacking chance, and that's why we say it's a smart foul, but definitely deserving of that yellow card.
Certainly so, and good way to step up there was Dewey. Constant there to just float the ball up, just completely getting rid of it, as Galley is now gathering her team together. You see the coaching done at the bench now. Nate Lee is trying to get this team going with 9 minutes, 45 seconds to go here. If you're just joining us, 3 of the goals were made in the first half. 2 by Virginia, 1 by Xavier. And just recently there was another goal by Cagle on the UVA side. Xavier trying to come back to life as the second half trickles down here in ESPN Plus.
Yeah, you mentioned Nate Lee tweeting, go forward, forward, forward. Under 10 minutes now. It's time to get chances. It's time to create. Can't be just shooting long shots from way outside. They need to be getting all the way inside that 18 and creating chances.
Stroker there fighting Rouse again. Rouse very physical, keeping the ball away from that attack. What a touch there by Cagle, my goodness.
That was a wonderful, like catching an egg one.
Like catching an egg. Dewey clears one. Cagle's just gonna let it slide out of bounds for a throw-in. Absolutely no rush for this team, who at this time they certainly believe they've earned this win, but you have to go play the entire 90 minutes to make sure that's the case, and to make sure you come back to this field on Sunday and play against the winner of Penn State and West Virginia. We're gonna play later on today.
Yeah, it's gonna be coming up pretty shortly after this match. I believe 4:30 the start time. We'll see, depending on when this match finishes, if they'll start a little later to get the players warmed up. But that should be a fun time. This is the first ever matchup between UVA and Xavier, and I think it is a success. I think these two sides are playing very well. Like you said, it's not over yet, but it's been a very entertaining matchup. Some very well taken goals.
Great way to begin the history of this great matchup that we've had here so far. As we have some substitutions happening once again. There's going to be Grace Haggerty coming back in. He's going to take the throw in as we see right now. Haggerty. Looking for her number 7, Simone Rivard Roberts. McLaughlin trying to get something going, looking for Stroka again there, but Kayla White very safely on the ball again. McLaughlin, we could definitely recap a lot about the season that Xavier has had so far. And one main standout thing is midfielder of the year, Molly McLaughlin, who we talked a lot about today. Also a first teamer in the Big East. Has played a big role, but hasn't seen much today in terms of that action and creating opportunity for her team. But again, we have to credit the back line of UVA.
Yeah, Virginia's back line has been phenomenal. Molly McLaughlin scores out of that midfield spot. There's a big chance here.
Their attack as well has been phenomenal as Kego's trying to look for her second now on the left foot. Floats one in, lightly trying to look for a header. Rouse trying to find the goal as well. Gives it back to Durrett. On the ball, there's a 1-on-1 there. Good job by the defense of Xavier, but again, Durrett. More pressure again. Looking for a cross. Rogers takes care of it. Smart move there on the attack. Soroka now on the opportunity, but Rouse is there to cover. Soroka nonetheless keeps possession. He's going to have a big fight here and big clash there between those two players. Good job defensively.
Yeah, good no call and great job defensively. Shoulder to shoulder there. Warding off what looked like a big Xavier chance incoming. And again, 6 minutes plus left, still time.
Very physical play, and again, Constant comes in first. Comes in with the idea of getting the ball by any means. Does get the best of McLaughlin there with the clash of shoulders there again, and gets her team a foul. Very smartly done by Constant.
Yes, very smart indeed.
Looking for a bit of attack again is UVA, because certainly why not? Finding a 4th goal out of all the wonderful goals we've had here today. Rouse is going to be on the throw-in once again. Kegel tries to control it there and fouls Haggerty there. She was trying to get a transition, and now with about 5 minutes to go in this game, Mac, who would you say has been the player of this game? Somebody that has really stood out amongst all these great players that we've seen.
Oh, that's a great question, Juan, because look, as much as Xavier has been fun to watch and they've had a great journey, it's got to come from UVA. There are quite a couple, because even if she hasn't gotten the score sheet, Alexa Spencer has been phenomenal. But I think we have to credit Leah Godfrey for her brace. Spectacular taking goals, especially the first one, hitting the post and going in, and then the wonderful build-up play as well that led to that back heel opportunity. So 2 good goals from her, and I think overall, she's probably the player of the match for me.
Certainly so, as we haven't seen much of her in the second, but she had a big role in setting the tempo for the team in the first, fighting the elements, getting the team going, the energy overall, and the confidence to come here at Jeffrey Field and perform this way in the second round. As there seems to be a big call on the field, as there was a red card on Chloe Netso for Xavier. A straight red card was called. And now awarded is a corner for the Musketeers. I did not exactly see how that card was given, but we were just notified that Chloe Netso was giving a straight red card.
Not sure what happened there. One has to assume probably something unsportsmanlike, because it didn't look like there was any physicality in the play.
Haggerty with the ball there, looking for the head of someone there that could get them a goal with 4:38 left in the second half. Reed rotating, trying to find Haggerty, running for the ball. Soroka is going to get there. Soroka looking for a cross, does so, trying to find the head of somebody. There's McLaughlin. The ball lands on top of the net. Diving just in case was Kayla White.
And I think White was caught off guard there. I thought that was a well-taken header. I thought it was floating for the upper part of the net. Fortunately, McLaughlin, that last chance to try and make this match very interesting with less than 5 minutes to play.
Would have been very, very interesting. There's some last-minute antics there on the header. Good positioning, it just does not dip on time. If it did land around the goal a little bit lower, it could have certainly beat Kayla White there, who hasn't been truly tested with a shot on goal today.
And it was a high cross, so it was hard for McLaughlin to get on top of that ball and head it down. Hence why it went over the top. But we can see now in the tunnel across from us, the players getting ready to take the field for the next match.
Sroka very busy today, coming off the bench, but again doing a really good job as we see now the players of the next match, Penn State's players coming in. Shot attempt done there by Xavier. Now is Haley Hopkins using her frame to shield the ball away from Haggerty. Here's Hopkins taken against the world. There's Hopkins once again, beats 3 people because why not on the counter. Gets back in, shows a bit of dribbling too. A nutmeg as well. Hopkins cannot be stopped, but is certainly stopped there finally by Simone Rivard-Roberts. Gets a move done there. And now with a little bit more urgency, they need to move the ball forward with 3:19 to go if they want to get a goal here and the chance to have some sort of miracle happen here at Jeffrey Field. Rivard-Roberts. The Reds under pressure. Intercepted there by defensive side, Samar Guidry. Haggerty. To Reed. To Blaine. Back to Reed, trying to rotate fast. They need a little bit more urgency now. Finding Sroka, but there's Guidry again. There's Guidry once again with a physical challenge. Keeping the ball away, out of danger. Haggerty going back again to Reed. The Reds finding an attacker of their own there, and there's a ball for McDermott. Dewey again. There's Dewey trying to get the ball back for her team. Moving on, 2 minutes 15 to go. Looking for Sroka. And there's the defense of UVA coming together so solid when they're retrieving and reforming that back line. Very smart in showing options to their teammates, and one of the many things that we've seen that they can do, putting together a defense that knows how to create, how to defend, how to move around those attackers. Very successful today, certainly.
Yeah, the UVA defense in a game where in the first half especially we were looking at goals galore, the Virginia defense has been really the standout with how strong they've been and how united they've been, and not allowing the Musketeers to really gather any notable chances in the second half to come back in this contest.
McDermott there. Strong clash, finding Hopkins. Hopkins again trying to go on a run of her own, gets fouled. And a set piece with minute 37 to go in this game.
Now the Cavaliers can start feeling it. It looks like they're just seconds away now from clinching their spot in Sunday's matchup, which will be right here on ESPN Plus, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe. Between what looks like, for now, Cavaliers taking on the winner of Penn State, West Virginia, coming up next.
Very excited for that upcoming game that we're going to have. And just to add a little bit of history and importance to this Virginia program, 29 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. Also, they've gone to the second round for 26 straight, and to the third in 16 of the last 17. So a team that's very, very comfortable in moving forward in this tournament, very successful as well, getting to a few college cups as well, and the coaching by Steve Swanson actually taking this team to 7 quarterfinal appearances. So the coaching of this team, a big, big reason for their success as they're going to move on and face 2 programs that are very talented as this game is nearing towards the end. A fantastic game we've had here with goals from players from both sides, from Leah Godfrey scoring 2 goals in the first half for Virginia, and in the second half it was somebody we spoke about a lot, Maggie Cagle, the freshman, and for Xavier, the Musketeers, scoring the goal on a beautiful, beautiful free kick. We cannot express that enough. Ella Rogers.
Yeah, this game has some great goals, but with that, Virginia's moving on.
Moving on to the third round. Virginia winning this game 3-1. The number 3 ranked team defeating the Xavier Musketeers. Very, very good game. And with what you've seen today, Mac, what can you say about the possibility of them moving on and on in this tournament for Virginia?
They're a well-organized team. They have the goal scorers. I mean, I think I talked about a couple times how impressed I was with a player like Alexa Spanstra, who wasn't involved on the score sheet today, but still looked a threat. And obviously, with Hopkins and with Cagle, they have the attacking side. But impressively today, what stood out that I wasn't expecting was this Virginia defense, which looks so sound and so well put together that this team certainly has the ingredients to make a deep run in this NCAA tournament.
And they showed all of those ingredients today. All of their players, all their strike force, even the defense came to play. So a very, very deserved win. And with that, we're going to leave you here from Jeffrey Field in the first of 2 games that we're hosting here today on this very special day of the NCAA second round in the women's soccer tournament. With that, my name is Juan Mendez.